Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the DLF Trade Show. I am your host, Russ Fisher, at Dynasty on Twitter. I realize I keep saying I'm the host, but why am I in the second window? I'm just saying maybe show a little respect. And who am I talking to? None other. There you go. None other than the man himself, Addison Hayes. This is weird. Put me back to the other side.
Okay, I apologize.
Don't listen to me when I talk. At Amaze Hayes _ and we are here to talk trades. My favorite thing in the not my favorite thing in the my favorite thing in the fantasy football. Yo, I got it. Keep that in. I got it. I am Mr. Miyagi right here.
Dude, your eyes just went from like talking straight towards me in the camera, and then you just went. You're like, hold on a second.
I got it. There was no fooling around on that. I zoned in. But we are here to talk trades, which are my favorite thing in the fantasy football world. Let's put that out there. And what we do every week, pick one player. Addison goes into, there's another fly. Addison goes into the trade finder, finds us a good trade to talk about, throws that trade into the trade analyzer. And also, he does a little extra work on top of all of that work I already make him do. And he digs into the teams, gives us a little context on the trade itself. And this week, I chose Cam Akers. And I will literally say I chose, and let me tell you why. I want to trade Cam Akers away in a league, and I'm having trouble doing it because I feel like I hold him like up here, and like people are trying to trade me for him down here. And ADP shows that he is end of the second, beginning of the third, somewhere in that curve, right? And his trade in Superflex, yes. And we are going to talk about a Superflex trade that is something along the lines that I want to get. Let's put it this way. That's why I'm happy about this trade. So if people are listening in this specific league, which I won't name names, just, hit me up. So let's just get straight into it. This trade is a 12-team Superflex league. The trade itself was made almost 2 weeks ago. But I guess at this point, time means nothing in general. But right now, since we're after the draft and, off-season, like, whatever those things are called, haven't started yet. Mini camps, that's the word. Rookies started, but the teams didn't. So not value isn't going to really change on anything that is substantial. So let's get into the trade. The trade is Cam Akers and Dez Fitzpatrick for Miles Sanders and Chris Godwin. Now, here's the thing that when I read this, and I'm like, are you telling me I can get a combination of Dez Bryant and Ryan Fitzpatrick in one player? Like, that to me wins the trade right away.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's who that is.
That's the only thing I could think of. Now I'm just picturing Dez Bryant with that beard, and it's fantastic. But to get away from that ridiculous image that hopefully everyone is now picturing along with me, why don't you walk us through the teams that made this trade?
Sure. Team A, that is the team that traded away Cam Akers in this instance for the combo of Sanders and Chris Godwin. They went 4-9 last year, although looking at their team, it looks like they're coming up from a rebuild. They had a few picks last year. In 2021's rookie draft class. They had a couple this year as well to add to this team. This is super flex, but their quarterbacks are Kirk Cousins and Tua Tagovailoa. They have a bunch of other backups. Like they had Teddy Bridgewater, who they just lost a starter, but they have a bunch of other backups like that at the quarterback position. At running back, they have now Miles Sanders, and then they drafted Travis Etienne and Michael Carter, on top of also having backup running backs like Tony Pollard, Alexander Madison, Giovanni Bernard. At wide receiver, Russ, you're going to like this. They have A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, added Chris Godwin, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Pittman. And then a couple late round tight end darlings in Irv Smith and Dallas Goedert. So I really like what this team's doing. I like the direction that they're heading in. I feel like they're going to start competing much sooner, if like 2021, rather than later from this rebuild that I'm assuming that they kind of went through the past couple of years. Team B, this is the team that got Cam Akers in this instance. They also went 4-9 as well. But looking at their team, I think that they need to decide which way they want to go. I feel like that they're kind of stuck in the middle in terms of this like studs and duds approach. And I don't know if they have enough studs to compete or if they should, try to make the push with the studs that they have. I don't know. But looking at their team at quarterback, they have Josh Allen, Carson Wentz, and Jimmy Garoppolo. Running backs, they have Christian McCaffrey, and then they added Cam Akers here, Kareem Hunt, and James Conner. Wide receivers, they drafted Jamar Chase and Elijah Moore to add to DJ Chark and Marvin Jones, losing Chris Godwin in this trade. And then at tight end, they have Travis Kelce. So you can kind of see what I mean between, finding a balance and an equilibrium there between studs and duds.
That is a weird team, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was looking at the rookie draft too. This rookie draft was really interesting. I actually tweeted it out.
I saw Etienne went at 2, I think.
Yeah. So this team, Team A here, they drafted Travis Etienne at 102, right behind Lawrence. And then the next 2 picks were Trey Lance and Justin Fields. Najee Harris went at 105, and then Team B was able to draft Jamar Chase at 106. And then it just kind of went down from there. Trey Sermon was 110, which was gross. That guy who took him had like 5 picks. So I guess he just really wanted Trey Sermon. And then the other team Team B got Elijah Moore at 206, which I felt like was pretty good value there. And then Michael Carter went 202 to Team A.
A little early. Yeah, man, that guy, he chose his running backs and he went and got them. I guess that's really what it comes down to. That's a little early on both, but as long as they're happy, that's what matters, right? But speaking of happy, these guys got a trade done. So let's talk about this one a little bit. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of trade I want for Cam Akers. Like, to me, this is what a trade that Cam Akers kind of deserves. I'm not even saying based on talent, not saying based on situation. I'm saying based on his, I'll use a word that people don't like and is probably not super right now, but his consensus value, his ADP, the value we have been seeing in the trade finder, just like we are in this trade. Mm-hmm. This seems like the value he should be getting. We were talking about this. We looked at this trade and we're like, we feel like this is kind of strong. But then again, I know startup doesn't always equal trade value, but both Miles Sanders and Chris Godwin in Superflex are in the 50s. So they're 4th, 5th round picks. So you trade 2, a 4th and a 5th to get up to the end of the 2nd, beginning of the 3rd. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And you're getting the golden child between Des Bryant and Ryan Fitzpatrick just as a throw-in, which is ridiculous. League winner. Come on. The swag alone. I'm really going to... Okay, that's the last time I'm going to make that joke, I promise. I don't promise. So to me, all right, so spoiler alert, the trade analyzer doesn't agree that this is the kind of trade that you should be making, but it absolutely kind of is to me. Like, Cam Akers is one of those running backs that I used to fall into every single year. That running back that the last like 5 or 6 weeks just went nuts. And then you're like, yeah, he's going to do it again this year. And then, I mean, he didn't get replaced like a lot of the Bears running and Rams running backs of the past whenever they would do that. Jeremy Langford, Jordan Howard, Zach Stacy, all those guys that just did so great at the end of the season. You're like, yeah, I'm going to take this guy next year. And then, boom, Trey Mason shows up and replaces him, and then Tariq Cohen just steals most of Jordan Howard's work. It's that clearly didn't happen, but I don't know if I trust Cam Akers to be the guy, or not even that. I don't know if we could trust that Sean McVay, that's his name, is going to use Cam Akers as the guy. When Cam Akers was the guy, Darrell Henderson was hurt for most of it, and that just worries me at the value that he is at, which is why I'm trying to sell. I like the player. I like the team he's on, but I just think the value of Akers is kind of crazy right now. So yes, if this was me on this completely separate team of what we're talking about, I would absolutely love this trade. But let's talk about the value and now the context of the teams. I'm not sure I get this on either side. Like, this is probably Team A saying, yeah, I got to move off of Akers just because maybe I do think his value is too much. He did get great value, but you're coming off of a rebuild, I guess, unless, he's like, you know what, I'm done rebuilding. Let's just go do this. Then, I guess you go for Miles Sanders and Chris Godwin because they are both going to be very, very solid 2s at their position. I think Miles Sanders has the upside of a 1. Chris Godwin, I mean, having Chris Godwin and Mike Evans on a team is a little scary for me because, man, I know it's Tom Brady, but does that efficiency come back? Now that their defense was playing better and better as the season went on? But even still, I guess Okay, now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't dislike it from Team A's point of view. To trade away a younger wide receiver in Chris Godwin, who's 25, which at this point 25 isn't old yet, which in no aspects of the world should 25 be old. Let's throw that out there. But football, 28 is old, so you still got a couple of years on Chris Godwin, and he just re-signed, so we kind of at least know his position a little bit. Or no, he got tagged, right? Okay, so maybe we don't know. Never mind. So let's just forget I even said that. Don't edit that out. Let them see that I'm wrong. It's accountability, man. So I don't get the move of grabbing Akers here for Team B, just because look at your wide receiver room. That is so rough. You are, even if you're rebuilding, what are you doing with Christian McCaffrey and Travis Kelce on your team? If you're not rebuilding, why are you getting rid of two very, very startable players where you're leaving yourself with Jamar Chase as your wide receiver one? And don't get me wrong, love Jamar Chase, but that's putting a lot of pressure on the dude. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about this trade?
Yeah, well, I mean, echo what you say about, at least for Team B. Like, again, I don't know where this guy is trying to go, the direction that he's heading in. Like you said, if you're
it's funny, like we talk, like we assume that these people actually have a direction that they're heading, and they're not just like wee like I am sometimes. But this doesn't seem to be a direction. Yeah,
I don't know. So I feel like we agree on Team B. For Team A, the way I look at it for Team A, if I was them and I was trying to move off of Cam Akers, or maybe the other guy sent me this offer and you kind of worked towards getting Miles Sanders and Chris Godwin for Akers and Dez Fitzpatrick. To me, even though I already have Mike Evans and now I'm duoing up on the Tampa Bay wide receiver core, and then I'm going from a value drop in terms of going from Akers to Miles Sanders, and a potential production drop as well, just in terms of what they both could potentially do or be. I'm still doing that because the value, like we'll see from the trade analyzer, is so much more heavily on the Miles Sanders, Chris Godwin side. And it's the middle of May right now. So just like push that accept button, take the value, figure out your team moving forward. Because if you can move Cam Akers for Miles Sanders and Chris Godwin, then take one of those Buccaneers wide receivers in Evans and Godwin, move them for another wide receiver, once we get to like August or something like that. And then you're set up there. So now you have three really good running backs between Sanders, the Godwin or Evans equivalent in a running back, and then Travis Etienne. And your wide receivers are still solid because you got Brown, the other Tampa Bay wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb. So you're still really good there. If you don't like Miles Sanders, you can still move him too, because he's still a 24-year-old running back as well. He's still got a lot of potential. People still believe in him. So you can move him, I feel like just as easily. You can package something on top of Miles Sanders to upgrade. You can kind of move sideways. There's a lot of different directions that Team A could go with this by just accepting the trade and, seeing what happens down the road. But getting the value that is obviously there in getting Miles Sanders and Chris Godwin for just Cam Akers. Not even talking about, are we potentially selling high on Cam Akers right now? Just taking away this trade in general and just talking about selling high on Cam Akers, the RB8 in Superflex ADP right now. He's being taken ahead of other guys like Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders. Like, not a lot of fantastic, great running back names, but like the production potential is there for Cam Akers as the guy. Like I think a lot of people are expecting that he's going to be Todd Gurley when like Rams Todd Gurley. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I feel like that's kind of dangerous to just assume that.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to fall off a cliff and be like a Devin Singletary where, Darrell Henderson is Zach Moss. Like that's not going to happen. But like, I feel like there needs to be a point in the middle of that where Cam Akers actually lies. And I feel like that point is lower than what he's being valued at right now.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire level production, get like that 180 to 210 points.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what I think he's going to be. And if he turns into that, that's great, but not at this value. Like, you're going to be upset about this trade if that's what you're going to get out of him. Like, you're expecting that upper 200s, like, that season of 350, that Todd Gurley where he broke fantasy football that year. It's like that's what that seems like, I don't want to put thoughts or words into this person's mouth, but it seems like, yes, that is what they're expecting when you do something like this. And man, I like hurt my neck nodding at everything you were saying. Like, yes, absolutely. Don't worry that you have two wide receivers on the same team. It is May. It doesn't matter. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I would do? Go back to the same owner, throw Mike Evans, Irv Smith, and a future first or second for Travis Kelce. Let this guy rebuild, and you get Travis Kelce, and you are automatically contending. Like, you are easily a playoff team, probably one of the better teams in the league. So I hope this person is watching, because see, that's the problem with me. I get way too invested on every single trade we do on here. Like, what's the next move? And it's so easy on this team because there's no reason this guy should have Travis Kelce and Christian McCaffrey. And while I do not in my life ever trade up for running backs of that level, getting Travis Kelce right now is just gold because he's old at 31 for a tight end. That's wrong. Okay, but let's stick to the show, stick to what we're supposed to be talking about. Let's go to see what the trade analyzer thinks about this. Now, we both have feelings about this. I'll say that before we actually get into the values. Cam Akers is at 572.4. Dez Fitzpatrick's at 10.3. Come on, man. That's just disrespect. Nope, told you I wasn't going to do the joke. Miles Sanders is 418.3. Chris Godwin, 376.9. Now, we both went, oh, that seems low for Sanders and for Godwin. Like, it seems like they should both be a little higher. Again, we know that Akers will be higher than both of them, really based on just on hype, on ADP, on age. He is going to be worth more. But honestly, like, I think Chris Godwin, and I know I said before, well, I said that they're both around the same area. Miles Sanders is ahead of Chris Godwin in Superflex ADP. That's a little backwards to me. I think, what was it? Miles Sanders was running back 18, Chris Godwin wide receiver 15. To me, Godwin being 15 seems low. I don't know if that's maybe because he was injured a lot last year. Don't know. Not going to speculate because it's not like I know the real answer. But so, like, the difference of this is 213 points, which is about the difference of the 111. And this is something that usually happens the other way around, right? You usually overpay to get the one guy, but like, this is a lot. This is, you usually the difference is around like a 205, and we're like, oh, here, are you going to let that change things? Are you going to let the 111 change a trade? Yep. Yes, I will. Like, you should have gotten a producing player back instead of Dez Fitzpatrick. Like, yeah, I mean, I feel like you should have gotten a little bit more back. But let's stick to the value itself. Cam Akers is probably about right. The fact that he is more than the other two makes absolute sense. But to me, both Miles Sanders and Chris Godwin, I think, should be boosted a little bit higher. But if that happens, that makes it even further away, which makes the trade look even worse. So for this guy's sake, I'm glad that they're a little lower than we think they are or should be.
Yeah. I think this is the first time that we've ever had a difference of a first probably in our trades. I feel like the highest was like 202, 203, something like that.
Yeah.
But, I feel like I remember saying then that like, oh, that like kind of makes sense because you have to overpay a little bit to get to that point. Yeah. And the 203, especially, I think it was like the 203 in this draft class, and like maybe it was a one quarterback or a super flex, but not as much value, I feel like, as previous 203s in the past couple years. Anyway, so it was all good. But I was like looking through and I was like, what could this guy have gotten instead of Dez Fitzpatrick off this guy's team to make sense? Because ETN was the 102, Carter was the 202. I feel like ETN, the 102 would have been too much. Carter wouldn't have been enough. And so then I kind of just kept going and I was like, why wouldn't you ask for like Michael Pittman?
Michael Pittman's right where, or one of those tight ends is right where my eyes went.
Yeah. Like,
well, I guess there's no premium.
I don't know why Dez Fitzpatrick was in there. I really don't know.
Maybe that's that he's one of those. Wow, he's one of those guys. That's a terrible sentence. Maybe that guy really likes Dez Fitzpatrick. That's what I was trying to say. Like, maybe this person knew that this is one of his late round guys that he wants. So maybe I'll dangle him a little bit to try and make him accept the trade. Maybe assuming it went in that direction in the first place. Yeah, I honestly didn't even know he was on the Titans.
Yeah, he was there late round.
Oh, there you go, wide receiver, Tennessee.
Yeah, he's their late round pick that everybody was like, oh, the Titans didn't draft anybody till Dez Fitzpatrick in like the 6th or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I guess I toned that out because I just want all my Anthony Ferguson shares to mean something. But yeah, exactly. Like I can't imagine not countering this to get Michael Pittman thrown in. And the thing
like you
is,
could have gotten Pittman and Des Fitzpatrick. Like you'd be like, yo, throw in Des Fitzpatrick, and then you got like.
And honestly, yeah, that would absolutely be fine. It's like if you saw this and went Cam Akers and Devonta Smith for Sanders and Godwin, you'd be like, okay. And that's around the ADP of 111 in rookie superflex leagues. So absolutely, the difference of the 111 makes absolute sense. It would make this trade seem so much fairer, more fair, fairer. I am off my game, man. Whatever. But really, this. Yeah, I don't understand doing this for Cam Akers, but I love that it happened because I'm absolutely going to screenshot this. Well, I'm going to take away the analyzer numbers, but I'm going to show, hey, look at this trade that went down, and you guys think I'm asking for too much? Come on now.
I mean, there's other Cam Akers trades in here that are kind of insane as well, like Cam Akers for AJ Brown straight up.
Oh,
Cam Akers and Brandon Ayuk for Tyreek Hill. These are all in like the past like week. Cam Akers and Hawkinson for CMC and Logan Thomas.
And wow.
So yeah, I mean, like Akers is fetching a pretty hefty price right now. I mean, there's some other bad ones in here, but you know, you're always going to have that balance in there. But there's a lot of really hefty prices being paid for Cam Akers right now. That like if you have him, you know, dangle him out there and see what you can get, because you know you might take a little production hit at the running back position, but you could upgrade somewhere else or get more value somewhere else, like getting Miles Sanders and Chris Godwin.
Seriously, yeah. Even if you like the guy, like I like Cam Akers, it's just my team is rebuilding, and I don't really want running back points. I want to get those young wide receivers, so that's why I'm trying to move him around. Especially, even if my team was competing, I think like his dynasty value completely outweighs his fantasy value. Like I don't think you're going to get the points back for the value, the trade value that you can get. So at that point, it's worth moving him. But if you love him, just keep him. I mean, this isn't like something you have to do, but it's absolutely something I'm looking to do, and something that I think is a great idea to at least, man, throw these out. Like you never know what's going to happen, right? Like you're like, all right, I'm clicking buttons. Really, am I going to offer Cam Akers for Miles Sanders and Chris Godwin? Why not? And the guy accepts it. Well, sorry, and Des Fitzpatrick, you know, and the guy accepts, like, it's worth a shot. Like, that's another thing I wanted to throw on here before we wrap this up, that don't send bad trades for the sake of sending bad trades, but why not every once in a while take a guy that's insanely hyped and overshoot? Because what's the worst that happens? They counter asking you to throw in Des Fitzpatrick. On that note, this has been another episode of the DLF Trade Show. I am your host, Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse. He is the man in the first chair, Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes_. And we'll see you next time.